We'll start with Mike Wilson and then go to Ryan.
Yeah, Tony, how good is it to get Rackers and Mabry back on the mound today? And is there like an innings count or something you want to see from them before they're ready to go into SEC play, or is it just what you see from them that will dictate that?
Yeah, no, they're ready. I think it was a slow buildup for both. I mean, Frank and I and Woody all see eye to eye. You need to be able to play catch, and then you need to be able to throw a couple pins, and then you need to be able to face some of our hitters and then face some opponent hitters. And they've done all those things. That's a lot of boxes to check. So we'll just hopefully trust our eyes and go with our guts when we're making pitching decisions. But those are two guys that certainly will be active this weekend when Florida comes here. And if the situation's right, they'll pitch. But I think what they showed tonight is, yes, they're back, but the better thing to see was they threw the ball pretty well too.
Curious to get your thoughts on the NCAA rule yesterday that the regionals will be decided on May 10th, 3 weeks before the season's over.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not on the committee. None of our coaches are on the committee. None of our players are on the committee. So the game is the games we play, but I'm just referring to the game of baseball will tell you what you are. And, right now we're a team that scraps a little bit and finds a way to win a decent amount of games, but we still haven't played our best baseball. And if they're going to make that announcement, that's good for the teams that find out that maybe they're hosting or there's a neutral site close to their field. But really, all it can do is interfere with your thoughts for the games that follow. So, the teams that are going to play the best at the end of the year are the ones that are going to go on a run in the postseason. So we want to keep climbing, and that'll be including the games that follow that date. So it's not really a landmark date for us. Heck, I know sometimes they announce a thing right in the middle of the SEC tournament, and one of the teams that gets announced is playing. And now all of a sudden the coach is like, gosh, how am I going to keep my guys focused or whatever? So I think let committees be committees, and ball players need to be ball players, and everything will work out the way it's supposed to.
We'll go Ben and Wes and then Gustavo.
Yeah, Tony, just what have you seen from Steenstra and Booker as they've kind of ramped up here lately and received more and more opportunities and taken advantage of those opportunities? Did you see something change from them start to season to now, or do you think they just kind of took advantage of their opportunity?
Booker's immensely different than what he was during the fall. I think when the season started, we all felt like we had a different player. He was much more well-rounded and more mature, but then he kind of ratcheted that up even more so as we started playing some games. Handled things we asked him. He was good in the dugout. He's much more trustworthy on the bases and defensively. But for him, in order for him to be his best, he needs to find some consistency in his personality. And again, needs to be mature. Now, if you're talking about just walking down the street, he's probably more mature than 95% of the people on campus. But I'm talking about how he handles at-bats in his work and adversity and things like that. It's a different style, when we're talking about the game of baseball. And then for Steenstra, I mean, his body has put on a lot of weight and strength. He's almost kind of changed his swing. It's much flatter through the zone. Whereas when he was hitting 9-hole at junior college, it was in and out of the zone pretty quick. He was dealing with that long frame and trying to control it and didn't have a lot of strength to do so. So I just think he's completely evolved as an offensive player and as just an athlete in general. I mean, he's got an opportunity to be a huge person that moves very, very well. He's always had those movements, but not that frame that you're seeing right now. And that's affected the offensive side of the ball. Now, defensively, we trust him at those two positions. There's been some situations where he needs to get into those length, the length he has a little bit, needs to get a little lower and grind out some plays like some of our other guys did. But, it's been exciting to watch his progression as a player. And I think we're a long way from finding the final product before he leaves Tennessee.
Yeah, Tony, I was going to ask you about Steenstra also. When you look at that size, I imagine a lot of coaches have probably at some point thought, well, he's going to grow out of being a shortstop just because, maybe Tulowitzki was that big, A-Rod at some point, but you just don't see a lot of guys with that size at that spot. Can he really defend that position and stay there for the long term?
I truly think he can. I think at this point, he was a little gun shy. I saw him when his first start came up on a Sunday at Georgia Southern. I saw him in the corner, and you could tell he was kind of overcooking the situation a little bit. And he got out there, and the play showed that. Now that he just sees his name in the lineup, or we say, hey, you're pinch hitting or going in, he just goes and plays. But having said that, I think, he still can play a better brand of defense at times. So I don't think we've really even seen, you guys have seen, I should say, what we've seen in practice and what they saw at the junior college. He can defend as well as anybody at that position. And yeah, he's tall, he's gotten bigger, but the movements are there. I mean, he moves like a basketball point guard, but he has the height of a, I'd have to ask Coach Barnes, but on my high school team, we would have been dishing it to him down low, or other people would have been. I would have been cheering from the bench probably.
Gustavo?
Coach, one of the things I noticed on this game was the ability of your offense to take advantage of Eastern Kentucky, some defense mistakes to score runs. Do you see that, your team take advantage of some of the defense errors from the other team to score runs?
Yeah, I think we've capitalized on others' mistakes more than we've capitalized on some of the opportunities we've created on our own. I mean, there was a lot of hard-earned base on balls this past weekend when we were in Tuscaloosa. And sometimes we executed or drove guys in, and sometimes we didn't. That's the nature of having a high on base percentage. But it's tough to touch home plate unless you get on base. But our guys were able to, like you said, kind of have that little magic thing that coaches really can't coach. Just you got to have a killer instinct to you and always be on the hunt. We use that phrase a lot. And when guys do make mistakes, you need to see, an open window. But they've also done that well in other games as a team that wins. But sometimes when you're coaching college kids, both teams make a lot of mistakes, and it can be whoever capitalizes the most.
All right.
And as a follow-up question, today it seemed the crowd was excited. I came in at 5 and the lines to get in, there's some sort of excitement, to watch your guys play. How do you, kept the excitement? Sometimes you have to kind of tone it down with your players, and even the guys are ranked number 4. You guys have to keep it engaged. Yeah,
well, I can tell you right now that's too high. I mean, you got a full healthy roster and some Jackson Leaf and stuff like that. But I think they know who they are, and I think they also know what they're capable of. And anything else is extra. And then as far as, the excitement, I think for now it's going to be a while in this program before people really don't take a lot of pride in a little extra crowd size, a little extra crowd enthusiasm, a few more kids maybe asking for an autograph or winning a game or extra or new paint going up on a wall in our facility or an extra room being provided to do this or that. I think our guys really appreciate that, and they almost selfishly or they almost give themselves too much credit, which isn't the best way to say it, but they really emphasize, is what I should say, the fact that they earned it. So from where we started, it certainly wasn't at the bottom, but what's gone on the last few years, I think has been a significant amount of changes, and our kids really take pride in the fact that they're the ones that stirred that up, is the cleanest way I can say it. So I think they relish in it a little bit, and they've done a good job of keeping their focus to this point. And if they don't, then the coaches will, wrangle them in a little bit.
All right, we'll do 2 more guys. We'll go to Madison next, and then we'll finish with Mike.
Hey, Coach, you just kind of touched on it a little bit, but tonight's win moves y'all to 25-5 on the season, which is the program's best record through 30 games since 2004. What is separating this team right now, X's and O's wise, or maybe locker room chemistry, from teams in the past?
Well, I think a big thing you saw on display tonight, the unselfishness. There's no way that many guys can contribute to a win unless there's a good environment. I've seen it when it's different. when guys are hoping other guys fail or not passing on information to a guy because they're wrapped up in their own performance, or they're not in the game or they are in the game. So I think there's a sense of community in our facility, which now we can move a little more freely around here and put in a little bit more regular life, or whatever you want to call it. And they've kind of created that sense of community. Some people might write about culture or whatever, but it's been induced by the players we've had here the last 2, you could even argue 3 years of there's a high level of unselfishness, and they seem to understand the right things to celebrate around here. And some of it's, just being a good teammate, having the right effort, communicating things, and they applaud that, and it just kind of reinforces it and then snowballs in the right direction. So those things have led to us having that type of record. Again, we really liked our roster coming into the year. I think it could have been one of the best in the country, but it's not going to be, top 10 of as far as firepower goes. It's just not. And now, like some other teams like Alabama we just played, we're both missing a few of the pitchers we really would have liked to have thrown during that weekend. But these guys have made do and have found a way to win games with some guys banged up, some hitters not performing as well as they can, us being a little short in some other areas, by kind of rallying together. And the whole sum is greater than the parts type of thing is certainly applying right here to the guys in orange.
I'm going to stick with the theme of the rest of the press conference with Steenstra. At this point, when Liam's back, as Logan played himself into a place where he's going to DH, get a spot start at first, maybe. I mean, is he a guy that just you're going to find a way to get in the lineup now at this point?
Yes. I mean, as long as he's going to give us competitive at bats, which has been his theme. I mean, now it's, as of late, he's impacting the baseball better than he did in the fall. But the thing he's the son of a coach. You always get a good at bat with a good mindset, certainly welcoming any kind of team approach needed in the situation. So that fits our style more than anything. If you look at the statistics, the way it's kind of, emerged as our team image, the way it's going for us is, we have competitive at bats and stuff seems to go our way. That really is our style. So he fits it. And like I said, I mean, with the way he moves and how big of a target he is at first, or how long he is at short, and how much ground he can cover, we trust him. So you kind of hit the nail on the head. Spot start, DH, pinch hit, pinch run. I think how well he runs the bases is underrated and is a stolen base threat. So we feel like we found a weapon there, but I kind of revert back what I told the guys in the team huddle and what I said earlier here. He doesn't give us all the answers we need. We're still looking for other options to kind of walk into a series, or hopefully head into the postseason and say, here's our chess piece for this. And we've got a lot for opponents to deal with.